Satnam, welcome to Kundamentals. I'm so excited to share with you guys some of my passion about Kundalini yoga and meditation. It's truly been the thing that changed my life many times over, and it's always a pivotal part of the work that I do with any client, no matter what their desired results may be, because it is really the thing that changes everything. So I wanted to share with you guys a couple of FAQs, if you will, or just fundamental elements of the practice, because it's a very ceremonial and sometimes can be intimidating if we're being honest, but really just a beautiful practice. So Kundalini yoga is a tradition that is a little bit different from some of the more standard Americanized yoga practices. So it's not going to feel like you're going to a flow class if you've ever been to one. And it's a tradition that was brought to the United States by a gentleman named Yogi Bhajan. So Yogi Bhajan was actually a great yogi master and has an incredible story. He is just such a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. Highly recommend you giving him a Google, because you're going to find so many gems from either just knowledge that he shared or even about his own personal story. So Yogi Bhajan actually brought Kundalini yoga to the West in around the late 60s. So he first came to Canada from India, and then he eventually made his way into Los Angeles, where he started to teach. And he decided that he wanted to teach this really mystical practice to commoners like us, because he said that we were going to need it. He knew that the practices of Kundalini yoga were going to be so important for the way that the world was going. And he actually made so many references to technology and things that were going to change the world that were way early and way before their time. So he was kind of a genius. But before he started to teach Kundalini in the West, it was traditionally really a practice that was reserved for royalty and really esteemed people. It was really never taught to women. And it was actually something that if you were not someone of esteem and you wanted to learn a Kundalini meditation, as in one, then you could actually work for someone. You could basically become like an indentured servant to a yogi master and do whatever they told you to do for as long as they told you to do it. Then maybe when they deemed you worthy, they would teach you a meditation. So how fortunate we are right now to be able to have access to all of the thousands and thousands of meditations and kriyas that we actually have at our fingertips. So it's a really potent practice, and it actually is very unique because it combines a few different elements. So there are some yoga sets, or kriyas as we like to call them, that are more physical, where you're going to be moving your body into certain positions. But we also combine a lot of breath work or pranayama, as well as a lot of mantra with some moving meditations. We also use mudras, that are the hand postures. So all of these things are very specific, and it's important to note that we teach them exactly as they were traditionally given. So any Kundalini class that's taught properly by the book is literally taught by a book. So everything that I teach is actually a set that was taught by Yogi Bhajan at some point during his tenure in the States. So it's all very specific. There's a lot of technology behind it, and it's just really cool that these are really the same potent practices that have been passed down for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's kept really pure that way. So that's like the number one rule, is that you don't change any of the teachings. You teach them exactly as they were given to us by Yogi Bhajan. Now, with that being said, the one adjustment that you can always make to any set, you can always do self-adjustments if you need to modify a physical posture or something like that. And then you can also always shorten the times. So many of the meditations that were given by Yogi Bhajan were quite advanced. And so if you're just starting a practice, this is a really wonderful yoga practice, because it's going to meet you wherever you're at, physically, emotionally, mentally, all of the things. You can adjust it to your own pace. So you can always shorten the times that are given in any particular posture or set. You just don't want to go over the times. So for example, most of the videos that I have in this course are going to be shrunken down to about a 3-minute, if not less, practice. That's a really great starting point and can be the basis of a really consistent practice. So start with those. If you're looking to go into a more advanced practice, then definitely reach out, and I'd be thrilled to support you in that journey. But otherwise, if you find yourself feeling like 3 minutes is more advanced than where you're starting from, then you can always shorten the times in half or cut it down to even 1 minute. That's totally okay. Just do the best that you can. With that being said, one of the most impactful benefits of Kundalini yoga and meditation is the brain training. So truly, this practice is like Jedi mind training. And one of the most notable parts of that is really finding your point of resistance and learning to move past it. So many of the postures that we'll hold or the breathwork patterns that we'll get into, they're going to feel challenging because your brain isn't used to doing that. We'd like to do weird things that make your body feel really good. So part of that is really starting to get to that point where your brain starts to tell you, you know what, I'm not sure this is a good idea. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know why you're breathing like that or holding your arms up like that. I think you should stop. So your brain will start to tell you that you need to stop. And sometimes that feels like little cramps or things that feel overwhelming. So part of the practice is truly learning to train yourself to negotiate with that part of your mind. So starting to say, you know what, I know this is uncomfortable, this is weird, I've never done this before, but I'm just breathing. So I think I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go 30 seconds longer than I think I can. I know that I'm not going to die from holding my arms up for 10 more seconds. So really starting to push your own envelope is really where you start to form new neural pathways, and it's just the most transformational practice. You'll start to notice that a lot of these mental benefits start to spill over into other areas of your life. So especially when you form a consistent practice of pushing past your own self-imposed boundaries, then your brain is going to get the message that, hey, you know what? She's a lot stronger than I thought she was going to be. You know, when she says she's going to do something, she actually does it, and she doesn't stop until she's done. It's really that sort of thing. So it's incredible for rewiring your subconscious mind, and it's also quite clearing. So it's a way that you can essentially take out the garbage of your mind. Your mind is actually processing literally billions of bits of information going on all around you at any given time. And it actually filters all of those billions of bits down into a fraction of those details that it deems important. And this is where we start to find ourselves really getting into some of the emotional patterns and behavioral patterns that can stay with us for many, many years. And sometimes it just feels like that's part of our personality. But truly, these are all things that are up for negotiation when you start to work with your mind and when you start to retrain some of the fundamental beliefs that you may have about yourself. So Kundalini yoga and meditation is a really strong way of doing that. So a consistent practice is really ideal, although you'll get benefit from these practices even if you just use them occasionally. Ideally, we do recommend a 40-day practice to get started because it's been shown that at the 40-day mark, you'll literally start to see changes showing up in the brain. If you were to do a brain scan, it's when the gray matter in your brain literally starts to change. So this is what's going to really start to instill new thought forms, new habits, and new patterns in yourself. So see if you can pick one of these exercises that you're going to learn and stick with it every day for 40 days. You're going to be a new person. It is so empowering. All the things that will start to change and improve will really start to surprise you. Now, there's also a lot of physiological benefits to this practice. So especially the breathwork practices, they're really cleansing to your lymphatic system and also stimulating to your glandular system. So essentially, it just helps all of the functions of your body really perform the way that they were intended to perform. Your lymphatic system is the system that really holds the keys to your immune function. So when you can actually work that by using movement or breath work, then you're going to start to feel like you have more energy. You're going to start to look better. You're going to start to actually see a physical glow about you. You can really change a lot of things about your physical body with a consistent practice. It is so incredibly good for you, highly anti-inflammatory and highly anti-aging. And once you start to support your lymphatic system, you're going to find that things just work themselves out. So any little aches and pains that you might have, any symptoms that may have even been there for so long that you never think that they're ever going to loosen up, a lot of healing can take place through a consistent Kundalini practice. So definitely go at your own pace and listen to your body, but just know that a lot of times whenever you're feeling a little resistance coming up or a little discomfort in the body, a lot of times that can be that you're getting fresh circulation, fresh blood, and fresh oxygen into those areas. So the more that you can really just commit to working through that, the more healing benefits you're going to get out of it. You can also do a lot of mixing and matching. So certain sets or kriyas are written in a specific formulation, and so those need to stay together. But all of the ones on this particular course are little bits and pieces that you can combine at your leisure for whatever your body might need on that particular day. So feel free to find your favorites and practice those. Now, a couple of the FAQs. You don't have to wear white, but I'll tell you why we traditionally do wear white whenever we're teaching Kundalini yoga. It actually is known to expand your aura by about a foot. And so there's a lot of teachings that Yogi Bhajan gave about color, about really presenting yourself in your physical body. And white was the thing that really stuck because it's a very power move. It also is a practice in mindfulness. If you've ever walked through a day of your life wearing nothing but full white, you'll definitely find yourself being more mindful of your movements and your habits because you don't want to get things on it, right? So there's that. But truly, wearing white is just, it's a very special color. It definitely has a profound effect on the way that you feel. So give it a try. But it's totally not required. Maybe it'll make you feel really good, or maybe it's not your thing. Either way, you can still enjoy the practice. And really the same thing goes for a turban. So traditionally, many people who teach Kundalini actually wear a full-on turban and wrap their head every time they practice. I'll just tell you, to be totally transparent, I am not one of those people. Typically when I'm teaching in a group setting, I do like to do a head covering of some sort, but in my home practice, I really don't. I'm a little bit more sensitive to the pressures in my head. So for me, wearing something on my head doesn't feel the greatest. So I listen to my body in that way. But you know, it's a tradition. If you want to play around and experiment with it, many people say that it actually helps them to feel more focused and to hold their meditations more intensely because it's actually applying a little bit of pressure right around the crown chakra. And so try it, see if you like it. More power to you if you're into it. No judgment if you're not. The next thing is, a lot of those traditions really do come from the Sikh tradition, which is the religion of Yogi Bhajan. Now, you don't have to be a Sikh to practice Kundalini yoga. I was raised Christian, and so that's where a lot of my spiritual roots are, but I definitely consider myself not a very textbook religious person. I've definitely become a lot more open-minded over the years and through my own development. And I have lots of friends who practice Kundalini that are various religions. So take what you will and leave the rest. You know, this is not a religious practice. It is a practice that is a spiritual practice. So if you don't consider yourself a religious person, you know, maybe you can find some elements of the Kundalini beliefs and practices that really resonate with you. There's so many beautiful ones to choose from. So I think that's a great way of starting perhaps a spiritual practice. You definitely don't have to subscribe to every belief that is passed down through this lineage. Take what you want, learn from it, love through it, and then pass on the rest, you know? I give you full permission to be very intuitive about this process and find what parts of it work for you. For me, it's been a way of really finding myself able to connect with God even more on a deeper level than I ever have before by learning how to really access those states of mind and that state of connection through using my body and my breath in specific ways. It is the most fascinating and incredible thing that I've ever experienced, and truly has brought me so much closer in my own faith and my own spiritual practice than I ever thought possible. Satnam. So we use this phrase all the time in Kundalini. It's a part of a lot of the mantras that we use, and definitely can be something that you pair with your breathwork practice if you need a little extra layer of focus. So what does it mean? It loosely translates to my true identity or my true essence. So it's almost like the Kundalini version of Namaste. So it's almost saying, I recognize the true you and I honor that. So it's a really beautiful thing. So you can say it as a greeting, as a closing. We say it all the time. And then we actually like to close our practice with a long Satnam that I'll teach you in just a little bit. I'm so excited for you guys to go through this course and experience a little taste of Kundalini yoga and meditation. I'm actually going to be guiding you through some throwback videos from when I very first started teaching, and it's really special for me to share with you literally some of the first videos I ever made of sharing the Kundalini practices, and it feels really good to share with you guys a little bit of my own evolution, so enjoy those, and I hope that you get so much benefit from this practice and truly start to adopt it into your everyday life. It's going to bring you so many blessings. I'm definitely here for support, so if you have any questions about anything Kundalini related or any of the practices that I'm going to share with you today, don't be a stranger. I'm always here for you, and I absolutely love sharing the world of Kundalini with those around me. So enjoy, and Satnam.